G'day. In the studio today we have the biggest Yokohama tyre you can get. Well, actually not the biggest, but it's the biggest in terms of tread pattern. It's the Geolander XMT. And this is not necessarily the tyre that you get for going down to the mall or taking the kids to soccer. This is the tyre you get for rock crawling. You get it for serious mud. It's not, and Yokohama actually themselves said that I could say this, is not really ideal for highway driving. So this is a tyre that you put on your dedicated car that will go for off-roading experiences rather than an everyday tyre. These tyres were released in 2018 in the US, and I first saw them at the SEMA that year. And then they finally came to Australia in 2020, and we're just starting to see them on cars now because they are a pretty big tyre and a pretty big investment. And they're for those people who really want a dedicated off-road tyre. It's big in every way, so probably the biggest feature on it is quite heavy, by the way. So the biggest feature on it really is the chunky tread pattern and the massive voids that you get. Usually I talk about being able to stick fingers in between the tread blocks, whereas I could pretty much stick my face in between these tread blocks. And it's interesting because they actually vary over roughly that much of the tyre. So they are, you could almost call them variable pitch, but maybe not. But they are not necessarily repeating pattern, but they do change. And one of the guys actually said it's kind of like a topographical top-down shot. So you've actually got the tread block, and then it's actually got this sort of extra bits of rubber down towards the actual carcass of the tyre. And that's both to help eject rocks and stuff out from between the blocks, but also a little bit more gusto behind the blocks, really. So they do have these 3D sipes. I think we're pretty sure we had a look at them deeper in the middle and shallower on the outside, but everything about it is just big. So speaking of big, let's have a look at the sidewall. I should say this is the 35-inch tyre. It's actually not the smallest. Apparently there is actually a 750 R16, so that's around about a 30-inch tyre. We couldn't find any information about the weight of that one, but the 35-inch tyre which I've got here is actually, sorry, I'm looking at my board, just breaking the fourth wall or whatever. This is the 35 by 12.5 by 17 tyre, and it is 34 kilos. It's not the smallest. There is actually apparently a 750 R16, which is smaller, but we couldn't find a weight for that. But this one, the 35, is 34 kilos, and it goes up to a 40-inch, which is 54.5 kilos. So I think I'd do my back end moving that around to show you guys the different bits and pieces of the thread. But let's look at the shoulder. Whoa. And you can see, it's a bit dirty, sorry about that. You can see you've got this really chunky shoulder design, and it's the same shoulder on both sides, so it's got similar amounts of chunk on both sides. And again, it has this sort of extra rubber beneath the shoulder as well, similar to what they've done on top, perhaps not as deep as what they've done on the tread face itself, that'll provide a bit more resistance to punctures. And it also has this quite a deep rim strip. I wouldn't say it's necessarily actually no, you probably could say it's a proper rim protector, in case you're worried about curbing your rims when you've got these on. It's probably more actually around protecting the rims from rocks and that sort of thing, particularly when you're out and you're rock climbing over various mad things. So they are a pretty crazy tyre. They are only available for people who want to go big, apart from that 750B if it actually exists. In terms of tread depth, these across the range, they have 16.6 mil of tread depth, which is pretty deep in comparison to a lot of other tyres. I don't think my tread depth gauge even goes that deep. So that's the Yokohama Geolander XMT, the biggest in the Geolander range. Make sure you review these on our website, tyrereview.com.au. Send us pictures as well, because I want to see the cars that these get fitted to, because I think they'll be quite special units. Leave us a comment below if you're thinking about running them or if you've got any questions. Other than that, make sure you hit subscribe so you can tune in next time when we talk about big rubber again. I'm not sure about the bell. Let me know in the comments if you think we should actually be telling people to hit the bell as well. Like, do you actually want me to tell you to hit the bell? Because I mean, if you hit the bell, it means you get notified, which is good, but it's a bit much. So let me know in the comments if you want to be notified about this sort of stuff, or if you just tell me to go get because that'll actually mean that the crew can actually stop waving at me to say, don't forget about the bell. Anyway, that's my rant. Tune in next time for more rants about things that aren't tyres and more discussion about tyres. Thanks very much.